international territorial developments in North America and South America, and positions being taken by CARICOM, the government of Jamaica has the responsibility to be a leader in the legalization of the, I should say, Ganja cannabis hemp GHS based on the agreed competitive cultural and cultivation platforms that is acknowledged to have in the global market related to recreational, medicinal, and consumer lifestyle choices. This cultural and competitive environment is squarely related to the Rastafari culture, philosophy, and lifestyle, and its cultural transmission to the global centers of the world. The second point, the Rastafari Intellectual Property Authority, RIPA, will be the leading governance organization of the Rastafari community related to defining, developing, and managing the internal and external policy development and oversight as the regulatory and commercial inputs are arrived at. 3. In agreement with ongoing transactions, the government of Jamaica must begin decriminalizing the ganja cannabis health as soon as possible, expunging all criminal records and incarcerations for previously non-violent convictions of a suggested weight of 2 ounces that should be subjected to more research on its practicality related to possession and smoking, and to be declared pounds for intra-Jamaica transportation of ganja. And I believe we already reached to that point where the decriminalization of the 2 ounces is already in place, so we do give thanks for that. In respect of hemp, it should be declared that this variety has never been made illegal, and as such, it is the removal of the criminalization of the psychoactive TMC or THC rather in ganja that will remove the stigma of hemp. 4. Decriminalization going forward while identified with 2 ounces should be qualified by other specific and transactional circumstances related to how the 2 ounces are to be achieved and possessed by the individual consumer. Any further risk of criminalization related to ganja should be negotiated towards its not happening, except for issues related to illegal external exportation. 5. Rastafari sacramental spaces and the usage of ganja hemp cannabis health GCH is to be determined relative to size, event, and products and services. Previous Rastafari community negotiations were determined by the limitation of national policy. Current negotiations will relate to valuation that place Rastafari sacrament and intellectual property rights in perspective of national industry policy development. That the 7-pound weight negotiation by the late Prime Minister Michael Manley and the Rastafari community be revisited to secure passage rights of possession per Rastafari. Item 6. Rastafari sacramental spaces are defined as grounds that are occupied by Rastafari individual and or collective for personal public service related to the Rastafari culture. Rastafari places of worship incorporate communal lifestyle spaces where lifestyle choices related to farming, arts, and craft for health and welfare are propagated. A variety of lifestyle products and services, from food to lifestyle products and services formally and informally exist. Under formal policy management, these spaces would be registered with the Rastafari Intellectual Property Authority or RIPA and accorded various levels of right. 7. Rastafari sacramental spaces would be allowed unlimited amount of possession in accordance to the use of the physical capacity of the spaces. An overview of existing and projected Rastafari spaces will be prepared. 8. Rastafari sacramental spaces will be served by either adjoining or Rastafari own contractual supply mechanism. These provisions will be determined by repertory and private culture valuation developments related to specific land grants, market analysis, and consumer productions, or rather projection. Basically, what we are really trying to envision is to incorporate the existing Rastafari spaces. Like, as we have developing here, it's another space where the community is coming together to establish a business center, a community trade center, etc. So these are the spaces that we are highlighting, where our community activities, dealing with our lifestyle and our productivity, that we wish to be recognized by the government, that will enact a closer bond relationship where our possession and the farming of the product is concerned, ganja, cannabis, and hemp, for the uses and the benefits of the Rastafari community. So this is basically an example of the setting that we had proposed to the government of Jamaica, or rather at the Ganja conference that had took place in May. So it is this proposal that we are still putting forward to the government of Jamaica to see how best we can work out on the benefits of the Rastafari community. So we will continue. Okay, number 10, Rastafari lifestyle merchandising related to the use of ganja in popular culture is a worldwide global industry fueled by its intellectual property incorporation into the reggae music industry. Rastafari community rights to register and trademark a variety of community marks and registered entity with the title Ganja and several other community names like Kush, Indica, Sensimilia, Kaya, High Grade, etc. will be the right of licensing and governance of the Rastafari Intellectual Property Authority, which is RIPA. This policy provision will engage and incorporate action currently being negotiated and to be presented for co-legislative actions related to the other names and identified Rastafari community names and title. So removing even where merchandising, we have one of the largest cultural lifestyle and branding in the Western Hemisphere where Rastafari products is concerned. So it would be best to utilize existing markets and branding in going forward to accomplish a greater partnership and a greater marketing strategy where the product and our lifestyle is concerned. So branding is also important. Number 11, that the no smoking in public places law related to the effects of cigarette smoking will not be applied to Rastafari sacramental spaces. Will not be applied to the Rastafari sacramental spaces like what we have here. So we are putting forward and our areas related to rented rather to conduct temporary events dealing with the Rastafari community products and services. It is acknowledged that Rastafari community products and services provide healthy lifestyle choices and behaviors that are inconsistent with the prohibitive regulation attached to the harmful substances such as cigarettes and alcohol. So we don't want to be classed within the framework as how they are treating cigarette and alcohol, as opposed to how we know the importance and the health use of what we call ganja within our sacrament use. So we don't want it to be tied within those prohibitions. Rastafari sacramental rights and provisions will allow for the redefinition of ganja from being considered a dangerous drug and allow for more progressive regulation. I think, Honourable Minister, this is also being looked into under the current Dangerous Drug Act. But the Honourable Minister would emphasize more. Okay, 12, Rastafari sacramental rights are known to be not promoted to minors. Rastafari sacramental rights are known to be not promoted to minors and consistently promote the most active anti-drug policy, not just in respect of the dangerous drugs, but over-the-counter pharmaceutical drugs, which are now becoming a problem for youth. 13, Rastafari sacramental rights in a legalized environment will allow for an increase in Rastafari traditional, educational, and spiritual values related to healthy mental, physical, and social lifestyle choices, and will become an effective anti-dangerous drugs campaign. 14. Rastafari sacramental rights operating in a legal and decriminalized environment will offer a major economic return specific to the Rastafari community economic development, and with major areas existing in the midst of urban poverty and crime-ridden communities, will have a wide societal impact in governance and usage. So we are indicating even what the benefits of our sacramental rights moving forward within even these communal spaces. 16, or rather 15, Rastafari sacramental rights and governance would add to the cultural and holistic medicinal trade in Jamaica and be beneficial to Jamaican and international communities that Rastafari communities operate in. 16. The Rastafari community is uniquely aware of the commercialization and related synthetic product development and advertising development specifically. That is, okay, let me repeat this. The community is uniquely aware of the commercialization and related synthetic product development of advertising that is attached to the research and development of these products, and will be very vigilant in not being associated in any of these development. Specifically, the identification of specific organic indigenous strains to Jamaica and the non-incorporation of any genetically modified strains in the development of the medicinal industry will be focused on for best practices. Because we know that there are going to be genetically modified seeds that we even know within I cells. GMC products are detrimental in light of how they have altered the actual nature of the plant itself. So even these genetically modified, however they might look to create a strain, it still has to be investigated thoroughly, because it can cause back a repercussion when it is being planted, and the effects that it has to other products and the reproduction of the hemp itself. So these genetically modified products, where the seeds and the production of the hemp, we even have to really look into these development of the strains themselves as a precaution going forward. Okay, we have 17 now. The Rastafari community is specifically focused on developing and to become known in a franchise commercial sense with organic indigenous development of the Ganja cannabis hemp. It will seek to partner in the research and development of this with international and global partners with a specific advocacy in carrying its franchise approach into Africa and South American markets through existing Rastafari communities there. So this is how we stress our organic, grown product. That's how we do our thing. 18. The Rastafari community, based on the broad-based nature of the sacramental and lifestyle rights and the intellectual property in the instance of fair trade, must be party to all international, private, and government investment in the Ganja cannabis hemp industry. 19. The RMC is calling on the various research and development stakeholders to pull together all cases in the global markets where Rastafari sacramental rights have been successfully defended, to have these provisions be attached and incorporated in the parliamentary submission process in Jamaica. And finally, the Rastafari community is uniquely aware of the Judeo-Christian societal prejudice against the use of ganja and its roots in Afrocentric emancipation, rights, history, and the culture of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, and also Ethiopia, in opposition to the Queen of England and the Commonwealth, and the specific role that this community advocacy has in relation to the history of the prohibition of ganja in 1913 and the tenets of the movement in 1930, and would be mindful that any public education related to ganja be inclusive of identifying and developing tolerance by indicating and incorporating societal globalized norms now related to national acceptance of the slave trade reparations, incorporation into the South-South trade negotiation and Africa Union status. A bit long. Basically, we are saying that they are coming from a colonial point of view. There have been directives that has been issued against the Rastafari community from as early as 1937. So what we are saying that these directives that has impacted upon the community, we would not want it to be still be festering in the development of our product as we go forward to seek the international trade of our hemp and our production, even our lifestyle merchandising product, because we have to even revisit these stigmas and re-educate in light of the modern development of where the reality of the culture is concerned as well as our production. So on that note now, I give thanks and turn it over to the chair. Bless the Lord and give thanks.